Hi, everyone. Welcome to Enjoy English. My name is William, and I'm thrilled to guide you through one of the most transformative skills in language learning, thinking in English. Imagine this. You're having a conversation in English, but instead of translating every word in your head, the words flow naturally. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, it's possible. Today, we're going to achieve this goal through a story about Jake, a chef with a big dream. Along the way, we'll uncover practical tips and tricks to train your brain to think in English. By the end of this video, you'll feel inspired and ready to take your English to the next level. Let's jump right in. Jake was a 29-year-old chef living in a small coastal town. His days were simple but satisfying. He cooked hearty meals at the local diner, strolled along the beach after work, and dreamed of bigger things. Jake loved cooking. It wasn't just a job, it was his passion. He often imagined opening his own restaurant serving dishes inspired by his travels. The problem? Jake had never traveled far from home, and his English skills were, well, let's just say he knew the basics. When tourists visited his town, Jake avoided talking to them. Even when they complimented his cooking, he only smiled nervously and mumbled, "Thank you." He wished he could say more, but every time he tried, his mind got stuck in translation. An unexpected opportunity. One rainy afternoon, Jake's boss called him into the office. "Jake," he said, "we're opening a new restaurant in London. I want you to join the team." Jake's heart raced. London? The thought of working in one of the world's most exciting cities was thrilling, but also terrifying. "I don't know if I can," Jake said. "My English isn't good enough." His boss smiled. "You're a great chef, Jake. You'll figure it out." Jake left the office feeling a mix of emotions. He couldn't let this chance slip away, but how could he survive in an English-speaking city when he struggled to say even simple sentences? Step 1. Immersion at home. Determined to prepare for London, Jake decided to immerse himself in English. He started with small, practical changes in his daily life. First, he labeled everything in his apartment with sticky notes, fridge, stove, cupboard, shoes. Every time he walked around his apartment, he repeated the English words out loud. At first, it felt awkward, but after a week, something amazing happened. He started thinking of the objects in English without realizing it. When he reached for a glass of water, he thought glass instead of the word in his native language. It was a small step, but it made him feel more confident. Step 2. Narrating his day. Jake decided to go a step further. Every morning as he got ready for work, he narrated his actions in English. "I'm brushing my teeth. I'm making coffee. I'm putting on my shoes." It was harder than he expected. Sometimes he forgot the words or switched back to his native language, but he kept trying, and over time it became a habit. Tip for you: start by narrating your daily actions in English. Use simple sentences like, "I'm washing the dishes," or "I'm going to work." This will train your brain to think in English naturally. The market challenge. One Saturday, Jake decided to practice speaking English in public. He visited a bustling market filled with colorful fruit stands, handmade crafts, and friendly vendors. His goal was simple: ask for the price of apples in English. As he approached the fruit stand, he rehearsed the phrase in his head. "How much are the apples?" When it was his turn, he said nervously, "How much are the apples?" The vendor replied with a warm smile, $3 a pound. Jake managed to say, "I'll take 2 pounds, please." Walking away with his apples, Jake felt a rush of pride. It was a small interaction, but it was his first real conversation in English. Tip for you: challenge yourself to use English in real-life situations, like shopping or ordering food. Start with simple phrases and build your confidence. Step 3. Thinking in pictures. Jake realized that translating every word in his head was slowing him down, so he tried a new approach: thinking in pictures. Instead of thinking, "It got an apple eaten," and then translating it to, "I'm going to eat an apple," he imagined an apple in his mind and thought, "Apple. Eat." This technique made his thoughts faster and more direct. Tip for you: replace words with images in your mind. When you think of dog, picture a dog. When you think of run, imagine running. The power of stories. Jake discovered that stories were a fun and effective way to practice English. He started listening to English audiobooks, watching movies with subtitles, and reading short stories. One evening, he watched a cooking show where the host said, "Add a pinch of salt and stir." Jake paused the video, repeated the phrase out loud, and imagined himself saying it in a real kitchen. Tip for you: use stories to immerse yourself in English. Imagine yourself as a character in the story and practice thinking and speaking like them. Step 4. Talking to himself. Jake often practiced speaking English alone. He stood in front of the mirror and pretended to introduce himself. "Hi, I'm Jake. I'm a chef from a small town. I love cooking pasta and seafood." At first it felt strange, but the more he practiced, the more natural it became. Tip for you: talk to yourself in English. Practice introducing yourself, describing your day, or even acting out imaginary conversations. The language exchange. Jake decided to join an online language exchange program. He connected with Sarah, a native English speaker who wanted to learn his native language. They agreed to video chat twice a week, spending 30 minutes in English and 30 minutes in Jake's language. During their first chat, Jake struggled to find the right words, but Sarah was patient and encouraging. By the third session, Jake was speaking more confidently and even cracking jokes in English. Tip for you: find a language partner to practice with. It's a great way to improve your speaking skills and make new friends. Step 5. Embracing mistakes. One day, Jake burned a dish at work. When his boss asked what happened, Jake replied, "I make wrong." His boss corrected him gently. "You mean, I made a mistake." Jake felt embarrassed but grateful for the correction. He wrote the phrase in his notebook and practiced it until it became second nature. Tip for you: don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is a chance to learn and improve. The big move. After months of preparation, Jake finally moved to London. At first, he felt overwhelmed by the fast-paced city and the constant chatter of English all around him. But he reminded himself of his training. He labeled items in his new apartment, narrated his actions, and practiced speaking to locals. One evening, he visited a cafe and ordered a coffee. When the barista asked, "Do you want sugar?" Jake answered confidently, "No, thank you." It was a small interaction, but it made him feel like he belonged. The competition. A few months later, Jake participated in an international cooking competition. Chefs from all over the world gathered to showcase their skills, and English was the common language. When a judge asked, "What inspired your dish?" Jake replied confidently, "I was inspired by my hometown where seafood is fresh and full of flavor." The judge smiled and said, "Excellent presentation." For the first time, Jake realized he was thinking and speaking in English without translating. Advanced tips from Jake's journey taught him valuable lessons. Immerse yourself. Surround yourself with English every day. Listen to music, watch movies, and read books in English. Practice daily. Make English a part of your routine, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Visualize words. Picture what you're saying to make your thoughts faster and more natural. Join a community. Find language exchange partners or join an English-speaking group. Conclusion. Thinking in English is a journey, not a destination. Jake's story shows that with persistence, creativity, and a willingness to step out of your comfort zone, you can achieve fluency. Now it's your turn. Try the tips from this story and let me know in the comments. How do you practice thinking in English? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Enjoy English, and hit the bell icon for more lessons. See you next time.